share with a coworker, a spouse who might also be a teacher, whoever it might be. And we definitely want to support as many people as possible. And finally, we're all in this together. We're here, Virginian educators, trying to support our kiddos. And it takes all of us to really move things forward. So those are our agreements. I find it's helpful to kind of center ourselves on that before we move forward. All right, so I like technology a little bit, and earlier, yesterday, I saw that Flipgrid had a brand new feature called a short, and so I wanted to show this short with you real quick, and allow us to just demonstrate how this tool can be used.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mr. Seipel. I am so excited that you're going to be part of our class today. We're going to be learning all about Flipgrid and how we can use it in our classrooms. And there are even some really cool new features that just came out in the last couple of days, including shorts, which I'm doing right now. We can take these videos, post them anywhere, share them with families, with our students, whatever it might be, and all in the effort of improving our communication and also focusing on community for our learners. Thank you.
All right, so again, as an educator, we can use resources built into Flipgrid, such as shorts, to be able to record a quick video, and we can post that for anyone in our community. So as we get into our introduction with our students, being able to have this type of thing available for them, for the families, where you can introduce yourself, say some things about how you plan to serve their kiddos, could go a really long way. And, importantly, in a way that a newsletter or welcome letter may not be able to do, they can see you, they can hear your voice, and it really allows us to have that human element that we so desperately want and need right now. So those are shorts. We will get into that in, later on in our session, and that is a brand new feature that I think launched yesterday. Just a quick heads up about where we're going. We're going to start with why we need community. We'll get into our two different tools, Google Meet and Flipgrid, and then we'll have a brief time to ask questions and give feedback and so forth. So kicking things off by looking at community. I keep hearing it repeated by the principal who I serve alongside that we need to focus on Maslow's before we can do Bloom's. And I really want to echo that as many times as I possibly can, focusing on this pyramid here on the right-hand side for our students, making sure that they have their physiological needs met, they are safe, and then we can start to focus on that community aspect, helping to build them up and allow them to begin focusing on the academic standards that eventually we'll get to. And I say eventually because a lot of the different articles that I'm reading, a lot of the podcasts that I'm listening to are really encouraging us to slow down at the beginning of the school year and spend 2 weeks focusing purely on community, especially if we're going to be in a fully remote or distance environment. Really take the time to build up our classroom community, get to know your students, let them get to know you, build some of those skills that they might need to be successful in your class, and then transition to the academic parts. Now, our next session that begins at 10:30, Eric and I are going to talk about that in depth more, but it is important to really get that as a baseline, that we're trying to meet our students' emotional needs before we get into the academic needs. All right, so I asked some of my favorite educational experts why we need community. And on slide 9, I've linked their responses here. So when we click on what the experts say, it's going to take you to Flipgrid. And this is where 55 of my favorite educators have responded to why we need community. So when we're on Flipgrid, and as we talked about before, you can either follow along with what you see on my screen, or now would be a good time to hit the escape button on Zoom so that you can regain control of your own screen. And what I'd like you to do, we're going to take about 4 minutes to either record your own response to why we need community, or you can take this time to watch the videos that other educators have posted. So go ahead and you can make your own decision about how you want to spend that time. John or Eric, please put the link to this in our chat so that people can easily get to it. And we'll come back together at 9:15. And I didn't go into too much detail about this, but when you get to that site, you'll see a big green circle with a plus sign on it. And that's where you're going to click to record your video. So go ahead and do that if you haven't already, and then we'll come back together in about 2 minutes. Okay, so let's come back together now. And I would like to first start off by sharing what ideas you heard. I know a lot of you were spending time looking through the responses of your classmates. What were some of the reasons that you heard when you watched those responses that people filmed? You can unmute your mic, and I'd like to hear from maybe 2 or 3 people about this.
I heard that it, well, go ahead.
I appreciate the point from Ms. Guzman that making sure that the students felt that they were not alone, especially in these uncertain times.
That's awesome. Thank you, Phyllis.
It seemed like the responses for people themselves craved community, if that makes sense.
I feel that to be true for me right now, and I'm sure that our students are feeling it as well. So someone in the chat a little bit ago asked how Miles is doing. He's my 7-year-old son. About a week ago, he got to see his best friend from school for the first time since March. And when my wife, who happens to be joining us as a participant today, when she told him that his friend was coming over, he broke down in tears. And our kids, they crave it. And you nailed that, Joanna. So definitely a lot of truth in your statement. Maybe one more person who'd like to share some themes that you heard in those recordings.
It's a way to keep your students feeling safe in your classroom or in your virtual classroom, a way to come together and feel safe.
Thank you, Becky. And going back to that pyramid we looked at a couple minutes ago, safety being one of those foundational blocks for Maslow. So thank you. There's absolute truth in that. So the next question I have for you is for some of you who recorded a response and maybe you've never used Flipgrid before, I'd love to hear from those brand new users to Flipgrid. What was that experience in recording a response? And let's hear from one or two people on this too.
I thought it was really easy. I've never created a Flipgrid.
Mhm.
And this is my second time to do a little recording because I had a class this summer. And it's really easy to record this little video and put it up. A lot easier than what I did last spring, recording videos for my students.
Good. I'm glad that you found it to be pretty simple.
That was me.
Oh, hi, Cynthia. Good to see you. Let's hear from maybe one other person who is new to Flipgrid about what that went like.
Hello, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I just thought it was very uncomfortable because I don't like to see myself in camera. And I had to, I didn't think it was, I've used Flipgrid, but not seeing myself in it. And I just thought it was very intimidating. And I had to record it like 7 times before I really was happy with the recording.
Well, thank you for taking the effort to make sure that it represented your ideas. And I love that someone has already shouted you out for having a great response. And Phyllis is doing that again. So there are some options in Flipgrid where you don't have to show your face. You can either do a whiteboard, you can do a screencast where you're recording your screen, or recently they just added, or they're about to add, being able to only do audio. So lots of ways that even without showing this, if we're uncomfortable or our students are uncomfortable, we can help them to share their ideas, which is really important. So thank you all for everyone who responded. And at this point, we're going to go back to our slides and continue on. We will see how to post a topic in Flipgrid a little bit later and how to create an account, but I wanted to start off by hearing from you, the experts. So the next question I have for you is, how have we seen community work well in our distance? So I'm sure that you've been in classes, a lot of you have been in these classes, you've been in meetings with your admin teams at school, you've led classes. What's worked in building community? And again, we'll hear from 1, 2, 3 people.
Hello, this is Carrie. I was just thinking about how hard it is. I work with high schoolers to get them to initially comment in a online setting. And one thing I had a lot of luck with in the spring was giving them notice the night before about what I was going to ask them, and then it gave them more confidence to be ready in the moment. And then once you get those first few days of everybody having commented, then everybody's more willing.
Carrie, I love that. Yeah, there's no reason to surprise people, right? We don't need to hide things. There are enough surprises right now. So let's just put the questions out there, let people get that familiarity. I love that. Thank you. Let's hear from 1 or 2 other people.
Hi, Adam. It was really tough for me starting out online, but I usually do responsive classroom in the classroom. So we sort of did that same thing at the beginning of each of our sessions. So I think them having a chance to greet each other and to share something really helped. And they got to the point where they knew how to do it every day. So I thought that helped.
Thank you. And, greeting people is something that we try to model in each of these sessions. And even I can't imagine starting one of these and not doing that at this point, but that slowly evolved to being part of our practice, maybe around like the 2nd or 3rd week or even later. And it's so important. Thank you. Let's hear from one other person.
Hey, Adam, it's Heather again from the previous sessions. I think exactly how you start our sessions is what makes a big difference with how we start ours. We need to establish those norms. So we are having some group meetings as staff members, and every meeting starts with reviewing those norms and just making sure that everybody has grace, like you said, and respects everyone's opinions and thoughts, and that it's a safe place to share your ideas. So I think exactly how you start is perfect.
Oh, thank you, Heather. Yes, and I really appreciate that. And grace to me is so important, and being able to talk with a few of you, it's been great for me to hear that has had a lasting impact, and people are starting to adopt that too. I couldn't imagine, like, one final topic on this, I couldn't imagine being in the classroom as a teacher and not having music when people came in. Like, that was just a part of the fabric of my classroom. And so I try to use that as you're coming in. It's low stakes. You know, sometimes people will put in a song recommendation, I'll play it, and it really helps to make things smooth for us. So lots of different ways we can foster community. Hey, Miles, you want to do your schoolwork? Okay.
Yeah. And after that, I'm playing 10 hours of Minecraft.
10 hours of Minecraft. Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to transition back to our slides at this point, and we'll get into our walkthrough of both Meet and Flipgrid. Okay. The final piece on building community ideas, slide 11 has a link to the Chromebook App Hub, and in there are a lot of ideas for how to build community. So you can click on that and it will take you to one of those resources. All right, so getting into Google Meet. Google Meet is Google's video conferencing tool. And as of right now, you can have 250 participants, so active people who their video screens are there. You can hear them, they can talk, and at the same time, you can have 100,000 additional viewers. Hopefully, as a classroom teacher, you're never going to have 100,000 viewers unless you're like broadcasting some amazing work that your kiddos have done. I love Google Meet because it connects directly to Google Classroom, and it's brought together. We have synergy, and it makes it so easy for our kiddos, and it's secure, free, and has a lot of accessibility tools. So that's a little bit about Meet. We'll dive deeper into it in just a second. I know there's an elephant in the room that we're using Zoom and talking about Meet.
Wait, elephant?
An elephant is in the room, Miles. It's a phrase. I don't know. You can't ignore it.
I think you mean Bruce is the elephant here.
Maybe I do.
Because it's big. Because it's big.
It's big. You can't ignore it. Right. Explaining idioms. Right. So this is good. We have the elephant in the room. Google Meet is so secure that if I tried to invite all of you to a meet within my domain, adamseipel.com, I'd have to go in and individually accept all of you. Zoom has a little bit more customization that's allowed in there, so that's why I chose it for our purposes now, but they are pretty interchangeable, and your district has probably already said this is the route to go. So a little bit about Meet in Classroom. In a Google Classroom course, a lot of times in here, you'll have the option of turning on a Meet link that is unique for just your course. So down here, we have Meet link. On the right-hand side, here's a URL that only your students can use. And when you're ready to post, you would just turn on that link. Your students can see it in a couple places throughout your Google Classroom page. And at 11:15, when you're ready to do your classroom meeting, they would click the link and join you in there. So it makes it very easy for our kids. Again, extremely secure. If you're not a member of that class, you can't get in. And we have a video in here from Eric Kurtz, an educator from Ohio, that runs through that entire integration, so you can check that out. The next thing, we just saw very briefly how to set it up in Google Classroom. It's turning that link on so our kiddos can see it. If you don't see that option, you might want to contact your district's technology department about changing the settings. It's a one-check button, so it's very simple to turn on. The other way that we can create a Meet is through Google Calendar. So if you click on this link here where it says go to Calendar, it's going to open up your Google Calendar, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a Meet meeting. So if I look at August 10th and I click to add an event, it allows me to start filling this in. So this is demo Meet, and then I can pick the time. So we'll do 9:45 to 10:45. I can add my guest in here, my buddy John, and then I'm able to join with Google Meet, and that's turned on. And we can have up to 100 participants with this. And when I'm ready, I hit save. John gets that invitation for the Google Meet. When the time comes up, he'll get a notice and be able to join the meeting and we're good to go. So very easy from either of those two ways to create a Meet. You might also notice that in the iPhone Gmail app that Meet is now integrated in there. So they're really trying to increase the visibility of this tool and make it as easy for people as they possibly can. Some other features that make Meet pretty amazing. You can record the meeting and it will save in your Google Drive automatically. Make a folder and they all go in there. You have unlimited storage for your school system account, so you can really leverage that. You can mute a user's mic or video if they're doing something inappropriate or just distracting, whatever it might be. We do have a closed captioning feature, and all of these links in here will tell you how to do that. And finally, or last two slides on Meet, they recently added being able to see up to 49 people at the same time through the grid view. So that's pretty cool. And we talked about the integration into Gmail as well. Now, some updates that are coming pretty soon. Additional moderation controls, being able to replace a background or blur a background, which from an equity standpoint, some of our students might have, well, you can see that my background here isn't the most beautiful thing. So I could blur that and people wouldn't be able to see into my house and just help with that comfort level. We can do breakout rooms, have a digital whiteboard using Jamboard. We can do raise hand and then Q&A types of things too. So a lot of cool features coming to Meet. If your district is using it, that's awesome. I'm getting a back channel from my wife right now, that's fun. So dig deeper with Eric Kurtz. Again, we have a whole playlist about how we can use Google Meet instructionally. So some great things here. Okay, so I wanted to, pardon the pun, zoom through Google Meet so that we could spend about half an hour on Flipgrid because everyone can access Flipgrid. It's an amazing tool and I really want to camp out on it for a while and make sure that we have a good understanding of how we can use it with our kids and our families as well. All right, so looking at Flipgrid, we're gonna watch a really short video about this tool, and then we'll come back together and do our walkthrough of how to use it.
Provide inclusion for my deaf students.
I have a voice. I have a voice. I have a voice.
We designed Flipgrid to be an inclusive opportunity for all students to share their voice.
And we are so proud to build an environment that is accessible, simple, and fun.
And I'm so proud to be on our mission to empower every voice.
Okay, so Flipgrid to me is it's probably the tool, the educational tool in the last 4 years, 3 years that I've been the most excited about. And I say that honestly. I think it's amazing and I try to evangelize it as much as I possibly can. A real quick summary, Flipgrid is a threaded video discussion. So with this, as we saw before, I posted a topic and then my students, you guys, were able to go in and respond. We can also make it where our students can respond to each other via videos as well. So a lot of community building. We can build some of those digital citizen skills as well. We talked about being able to use the built-in screen recording feature, which makes it very easy for our students to be able to share any artifacts that they might build. So if they have a e-portfolio or Google Slides for a project, they can share it, have the voiceover for it, and talk through it. Then we also get into it's secure, free, and full of accessibility tools, not unlike Meet, but that's why I selected these tools because they meet my criteria here. I love the focus of Flipgrid being we want to empower every voice. And like that sounds like it's a trite statement, but I've consistently seen that being pushed to the forefront of this company over the last few years. And that's why I love it so much. So talking about how we use Flipgrid with younger students, I know not all of our kiddos have a school email address. With Flipgrid, your kids do not need to make a Flipgrid account. Again, that's another reason why it's a great tool. However, they do need to, most of the time, log in using a school ID. So for a lot of our kids, that might mean an email address, but if your kindergartner or pre-K kid does not have an email address, you can also do something called, you can use a student ID option. And with this, we can make our own identifier. So I've worked with some people who are like, every student picks their own superhero name or what's your favorite animal, whatever it might be. And then they use that to be able to record their message. And this is also a good way that we can invite families or other community members to record videos as well. All right, so we're going to get started with Flipgrid. Slide 24 has a link to just straight flipgrid.com. We're gonna go there. And actually, I'm gonna call out one of our participants right now. Is there an Amy in there? Is there an Amy in this class?
Yes.
Okay, an Amy Seipel out there? If you could unmute, I'm gonna have you share your screen and we're gonna use your class and make sure that we build it correctly. So if at the bottom of your—
Amy Seipel here.
Okay, great. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see where it says share screen. If you could click on that for me. I'm having great fun with this right now.
That's what you have to do. Have a husband who puts you on the spot. Sorry.
Okay, did I do it? What else do I need to put?
You might need to click to select what screen and then share.
Share my screen.
Yeah.
You are so mean, Adam. Only to your wife. Gordon Grace to everybody else. Put her on the spot.
I'm making sure that it's all set up correctly. I care.
I'm having a hot flash right now.
Oh.
Have mercy. Okay.
If not, I can switch to someone else, but I do.
Someone wants to share the contents of your screen. Choose what you'd like to share.
Yep.
Okay.
I should have told you I was going to do this up front. Sorry about that. Okay. Is there a button that says
Allow display share over the apps?
So when you hit share, are you okay? We'll keep rolling. If someone else would like to volunteer, Crystal, that'd be great. Yeah, go ahead and do it. Sorry, Amy. Okay. Okay, thank you, Crystal. So in here, we are about to see Crystal's screen. And I'd like everyone to head to that flipgrid.com link, and we're going to create our accounts, and I'm going to walk us through how to do that. So Crystal, I'm not seeing your screen quite yet. It says that you are sharing it though. Can you try again for me? Okay, cool. All right, so when we go to Flipgrid, do you already have an account, Crystal?
I do.
Okay.
Do you want me to create a new one?
I'll just run through it real quick. So I'm going to take back control. Sorry, Crystal. And I'll model mine real quick. So when we go and create an account, we want to go to that flipgrid.com, and that's going to take us to this page that's coming up on my screen, where we have the option of logging in. Okay, so in the top right-hand corner, you're going to see where it says Educator Sign Up. I want you to click that blue button. And when we do this, it gives us a choice of signing up with a Google account or a Microsoft account. And I'm sure that all of our schools use one of those two systems. So go ahead and pick the correct one for you. For a lot of us, it's probably that sign up with Google, and you're going to use your school Google account to get in there. We'll take about 20 seconds to make sure that everybody has done that, and then we'll come back together. Okay. So once we have created our account, it's going to take you to a page that says My Grids, and it might pop up with Create Your First Grid. When we do that, it's going to look similar to what you see on my screen, where it says, let's make a grid and then name your grid. A grid, think of it as synonymously with class, okay? So with this, I could make mine SIPL 3rd grade or 2021. Or if you are a secondary teacher and you teach the multiple periods of the same class, you can put biology 3rd block, okay? So let's go ahead and give it a name that represents how you plan to use it. Then we get into the grid type, and we'll talk through what these options are pretty quickly. So the first is, if your students have a school email, do that option, okay? And that's gonna be the easiest way. It will be very similar to what you just did, and they'll be able to select a login with their Google account or their Microsoft account. If you're using Chromebooks, this is so easy because they've already logged in with that account to get onto the device. The next option is for those littles who may not have, an email account yet, and that's where we would do that alias that we talked about before. And then finally, if we wanted to reach out to other educators and not students, we can do that global one. After we've made the choices for a grid type, we see the flip code. And this you can customize, but it has to be unique. So if I tried to do 3rd grade, well, I'm sure that one went the first day that Flipgrid was a thing. So we would need to have something unique. So SIPL 6101 works. After we have that information set, I'm going to hit next. And my next screen that it takes me to, I have to pick one of these. There we go. Okay, next. And this next screen is asking me what is my district's domain. So for mine, where I work in Albemarle County, it's at K-12 Albemarle. Yours is going to be at something unique to your district. I know that there are some districts that have one for students and one for teachers, so you would want both of those to be listed in here. Or if you're doing a pen pal activity where you have groups from different districts who are joining, you'd want to make sure that all of those are in here too. After you've added those, we want to hit next, and your grid is ready. And I want you to see the different places that we can easily share the link to this grid. The first place is we can just copy this and put it in a newsletter, in an email to our parents, whatever it might be. The next is we can embed. So if we have a website, we can place it directly there. Or if I have a Canvas page, a course, I can put it right there as well. Then we have the option to do it to Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, or Remind. So lots of different ways that we can share to our kids using the tools that are pretty common in a lot of our schools. I'm ready to go to grid. And now I have my SIPL 3rd grade class. We can see in here that I have one topic that's already in there that's automatically done called Say Hello on Flipgrid. But we're going to see how we can add a new topic. So within a grid or within a class, we can add multiple topic threads that our students can see. So I'm going to do that. I'm clicking this blue Add New Topic button. And in here, we're going to drop in our first thing. So this is welcome to our class. So the way that the grids work, we need to have both a title and a prompt. So this could be, we're kicking off the new year say hi to your classmates. Okay, so we have our title, we have our prompt where we can go more in depth. We have up to 1,000 characters here. Then we can do how long can our students record, and this is the maximum. So they can do up to 1:30, all the way up from 15 seconds all the way to 10 minutes. I would use that 10-minute one very sparingly. So maybe if we're doing presentation of a project artifact, you might do 5 or 10 minutes. But for the most part, I'd stick to under 2. We'll make this one 45 seconds. Video moderation allows us to select video. We have to approve them before other people can see them. So if you have information that might be more sensitive that you don't want other people to see, or your students may not want people to see, you'd want that toggled on. And that becomes almost like a video journal where your classmates won't see it, and it is that confidential information. Next, we can add different types of media in here. And I like to think of this as how are we going to build clues for our students about how we want them to respond beyond just the prompt. So in here, I can record a video, and maybe it's my own response, or maybe it's me posing the question or connecting with my students in some way, and we can use this big red record button to do that. We can upload a video, bring something in from YouTube. So maybe it's watch this video from Khan Academy and then record questions that you have or your reflection on it. We can use GIFs and emojis. We can use tools like Kahoot or Adobe Spark, Newsela, lots of tools that I know a lot of you are using that are built directly into Flipgrid. The next thing I want us to do is click where it says more options. And we're gonna just quickly go through a few of these. The first one that I want you to check out is topic status. And in here we have 3 options. By default, it's gonna be active, so our kids can start posting in it as soon as I hit create topic. But we also have the option of frozen and hidden. So with frozen, they can no longer respond. Hidden, maybe it's one that we're going to, I'm still building out. I haven't added all my resources or have everything in there yet. So I can use those 2 choices too. And I like the launch and freeze date. So over here I can say it's going to be live from right now until Friday, and it's set for exactly those times. Very easy to make that. Continuing down, we get some fun features here. So our students can record both videos and selfies, or only videos, and we have some choices there. Do they put a video title, have a count, allow them to do video editing? If we're working with younger students, maybe we don't want video editing, it might be too complicated. And then we also have the option for student-to-student replies, and that might be something that we build up to after we've established what are the expectations in our class, how can we do this respectfully and safely. Finally, there is a feedback piece built into Flipgrid. It's on by default where you're giving feedback on ideas and performance, but you can make custom feedback too. So you can adapt these however you want. And if you are consistently using those same settings, we can save changes to my default settings and it will hold that in there. At this point, I'm ready to hit create topic. And my topic is ready. And just like we saw before, we get this unique link that I can share out. I can post to Microsoft Teams, Classroom, Remind. I can do a QR code if you're meeting in person where people could scan it and be able to respond. It's really good for stations in that way. But again, those are our options. So now I'm all set and I'd be ready to take my students here to be able to record their own responses. Now as the teacher, let me go to one of my other grids so I can show you what it looks like on my end when people post. So in my grid here, what inspires you, I have 9 different topics that people have responded to. Why do we need community has 64 video responses, including this awesome one right here. So in here, you can tell I made a GIF or added a GIF in here about why we need community. We have this tool called Immersive Reader that will do read aloud for our students and translation. Again, a very accessible tool. And I can go through and watch any of these videos. If I want to see Marissa, I can click on her and it's going to play.
Good morning.
I can give feedback here on the right. I can record feedback to Marissa if I want. And when I'm ready to go on to the next one, I just click the arrow and it starts Jill's. I click the arrow and it starts the next one. And so it makes it very easy to go through, give feedback, watch our responses, and reply to them as we need to. Okay, I can also download any of these videos or save them later. So a lot of choices in terms of how our kids are able to record, what it looks like from the teacher end. I'm gonna bounce back to our slides for just a couple moments, and we're going to talk through some ideas about how we might be able to use Flipgrid. So some different ways that we can engage. The first one is we can use it with a Q&A. So I give a topic to my students, they all respond to it, they can respond to each other. The next one is Flip It. And so with this, our students are all learning new things right now and exploring their passions. My son is reading about reptiles and John Lewis, the congressman who just passed away. So he could record a video where he teaches his classmates about that. So some pretty cool things here. We can also do student hosts. So maybe this is a show and tell type of deal where everyone go find a favorite toy from your childhood or introduce us to your pet, and he could record a video about that. We also, a lot of people use it for weekly check-ins. So just record a 30-second, how are you doing today? Maybe every Monday is that check-in. Every Tuesday is they come up with a topic that they care about, and you can theme it throughout the week so our kids know exactly what to expect. As someone mentioned earlier in our session, we don't want to surprise them, let them know the topics. And then finally, flip hunts. And I want to show this off real quick. This is from my friend Mari out in Southern California. She did a flip hunt about Earth systems, and there's a lot of choice built into this where they can go through and earn different levels of points by taking on these challenges. So when they post, part of their title is this hashtag. So if they did hashtag meta haiku, they would write a haiku that explains metamorphic rock and record their video of their haiku. And I could then go in and filter, find all the meta haiku ones, and they'd earn points. You can follow Mari here and adapt this idea for whatever area you want. Another idea that I like is from my friend Donnie in Kentucky. He recently won Kentucky's Teacher of the Year Award. He's an amazing educator, and he had his students record a 30-second talent show. And this student said, I'm going to jump off my shed into a river. And then he proceeded to do that. So we can definitely use this for non-academic ways. I think that's really important. Have fun, let our kids show who they are. And again, Donnie, an amazing, amazing educator to follow. The next place I want to take you is the silliest name I could possibly imagine for what it is, but I think you're going to love this. And so we're all going to go to the Disco library of Flipgrid. Now to do this, you'll notice, in here, we're on our grid page or our topic page, and at the top of the screen, we have a couple different things we can click on. Go ahead and click where it says Disco Library. And in here, we can see different topics that other teachers have already made that you can bring into your class. So directly beneath our first thing we see, we have topics on conversations about race, equity, and justice. And we have that conversation with our 7-year-old on a regular basis. What does it mean to be a white male? How can you stand up for people who don't have privilege in the way that you do? So we can do that at younger levels. And they have questions in here for different ages, okay? So from pre-K up, we can start having those conversations. We have topics about learning from home or EPIC, which is a really cool audiobook and literacy program. But I want you to take a look through these. So we have featured playlists that you can go to from different partners like EPIC, California State Parks. I know a lot of people are using Breakout or Lego Education, so you can go and check those out. And then as we continue scrolling down, you'll see that we have a filtered section where we can search for exactly what we need. There are 24,000 topics here, so we can filter by the age that we teach. If you're a 3rd grade teacher coming to elementary school, ages 5 through 10, being able to select what subject, and so it might be let's say, in here, we want it to be digital citizenship or beyond the classroom / community. That's one we want. And so in here, we can go through and find all sorts of good ones, Kindness Matters, lesson 3, whatever it might be. So let's take a couple moments to look through these different topics, and then we'll come back together and share out on what we discovered. I just realized what time it is, so we are going to come back together at this point. So what were some of the topics that you found as you were exploring?
I love that they had 2 truths and a lie, because that was something I was already planning on doing as a introduction of me to my students for just a fun way to do it. So now I can do it in Flipgrid.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Anyone else want to share? Okay, so now that we've seen where to find these, you might be asking, well, how do I put it into my class? So here is weekly check-ins. 7,000 people have used this one. So when I click on weekly check-ins, comes up, I can add it to my faves so I can quickly go back to it, or on the right-hand side, I can select a grid to post it to. I'm going to put this one in SIPO 3rd grade, and then I'm able to add. When I do this, it lets me adapt it for my needs, so I can change the language in here. I can change the focus and be able to record my own response if I want to. But when I'm all set customizing it for my kiddos, I'm going to hit update topic and this post it to them. So it makes it very easy to not have to start from scratch. We can build on what's already out there and incorporate it into our classroom. All right, so that's the Disco Library, one of my favorite features in Flipgrid. The other thing that I want to definitely showcase just very quickly is at the top of our screen, right next to Disco Library is Shorts. Again, that is very brand new. And with Shorts, we can record a short and then be able to share this with someone. So when I click on the one that I've recorded so far, just like we saw before, I get those same options of where I can post it. I can also download it if I want to and put it anywhere. And that's what I did to get it into my slides. Okay, so we're done with our walkthrough of Flipgrid. And so we're gonna come back to our slides at this point and continue moving forward. Flipgrid does have a lot of accessibility features, both in terms of getting read aloud options in there. It has some features where the text of our videos can automatically be captioned, some really cool things there. And then any typed text on your screen can be translated as well. So really cool options, and this video will run through some of those for you. There are some awesome updates that just came out. This is an hour-long video that you can watch if you want, that runs through some of those, and then also kind of shows the ethos of this company and what they're trying to do. As we mentioned before, there is the mic mode, so if we don't want our faces to be shown, we can just record kind of the audio response. They've enhanced what you can do on your mobile device, so a lot of our students probably have phones at home, and they could record their videos on here and have a lot more editing options than before. I also saw that they are now scanning comments for bullying. I haven't seen this in practice, but that's certainly something that is important. We can all acknowledge that, and it'll be interesting to see what it looks like when it goes live. So at this point, I want to thank you all. We will get into a moment of a Q&A in just a little bit. You can connect with me on my email, adamseipel@gmail.com, or on social media. I want to thank John and Eric for helping throughout this entire series going back to April. Liza told me that this is the 42nd session that we've done for Virginia's educators so far. So thank you guys for being instrumental in that success. Thank you for Vassal. 43 of these sessions altogether for free for our teachers. Thank you for that commitment to the learners in our state. It says look for additional sessions at vassal.org. We only have one more and it starts in half an hour. So hopefully you're in there. If not, thank you for everything that you put forth. Finally, feedback. I'm always looking to improve as a facilitator. So please head to bit.ly/3E76XNX. You can also just click on your slide 34 and it should take you there. This is where you're going to go to give me feedback. And if you want to request renewal, a renewal certificate, you can go here as well. Please make sure that if you are requesting that renewal certificate, that you spell your name and email correctly. Otherwise, you probably won't receive it. All right, so thank you all so much. If you have questions at this point, you can stick around and we'll take maybe like 7 minutes or so to field some of those questions. And then we'll have to transition to our 10:30 session that's coming up. So again, if you have any questions, please let me know and I'd love to talk through them with you.
I will give a quick reminder to folks that if you do want the recertification certificate, it's a special thing at the end. You have to request it, a separate form. And then as Adam said, please make sure you fill it out correctly and accurately or else it won't come to you. Thanks.
Dad,
Mm-hmm.
I found something that's cheap.
Yeah. Okay. What would you do with that?
I've listened to things. Or maybe give my friend one, and then I'll have the other, and then we can talk.